Washington Pod presents EARL Nightingale.
All right, now let's turn the clock back more than 2,000 years. In our imagination, we fly to China. It's in the year 300 BC, and a Chinese philosopher by the name of Meng Su is writing down his thoughts. He dips his brush into the ink pot, and he writes in Chinese characters, "To act without clear understanding, to form habits without investigation, to follow a path all one's life without knowing where it really leads, such is the behavior of the multitude." To act without clear understanding, to form habits without investigation, to follow a path all one's life without knowing where it really leads, such is the behavior of the multitude. In other words, old philosopher Meng Su was a social critic complaining about the thoughtless, painful lives lived by most people simply because they wouldn't look into the future before they began a new habit or followed the path most people were following. So things haven't really changed much in the last 2,000 years as far as most people are concerned. They're still following the wrong crowd in the unspoken assumption that the crowd must know where it's going. Now that's a terrible mistake. The crowd has never accomplished anything of real value except produce the occasional bright-eyed man or woman who had enough sense not to get in line and to produce a life of his own making, his own planning, his own goals. Now these individuals are fairly rare, forming as they do only about 5% of the population. Most people never think about this. Now you're fortunate in that you now know that you have a choice. You can follow the multitude of which old Meng Su wrote about more than 2,000 years ago, or you can join the 5%. I call them the 5% Club. They have many things in common, but they're distinguished not by their similarities, but rather by their differences. These people seem to know that there's no such thing as an ordinary man or woman. We're all different. Each of us has something special to add to the world, and it's that difference that can make us great, that can result in our living rich, interesting, adventurous lives and make a difference in the world. Wherever you find ordinary people, you do so because they're people who are acting as though they're ordinary. Unaware of their important differences, conscious only of their similarities, they get into a lockstep with each other and form a long line to nowhere in particular. Now, just as it was more than 2,000 years ago, most people in any modern society are in that big line. Most of them are good people, honest people, good neighbors. They love their children and hope they'll do well. They have, in the American climate of freedom, made this into a wonderful country. They share in the prosperity of this country, but they don't run things. The top 5% Club is responsible for most of the jobs. It's the thinking 5%. Now, one of the main purposes of this program, in fact, we might say the main purpose of this program, is to extend to you an invitation to join the top 5% Club. All you have to do to join is to take charge of your life. Select your own goals in life and get yourself on the road toward achieving those goals. You see, as we said earlier, we become what we think about. Think of it this way. You're standing at the separation of two roads. One of the roads is big, wide, and dusty. Most of the people are on that road. That's the multitude that old Meng Su commented about. And there's the other road, much smaller, with only about 5% of the people on it. But it's a more interesting road. The people you meet on this road are more interesting, too. They're called achievers. They do things as a result of their own decisions about where they want to go and what they want to become. Did you know that you can decide what income you'll earn all of your life? And that you can decide on the home you and the person you marry want to own and make all the other important decisions of your life. Did you know that all of that is within your power? It is. In fact, no matter what kind of life you lead, it will be the result of your decisions. Everybody that's been an adult for any appreciable length of time is where he or she is because of his or her decisions. It may have been the unconscious decision to just follow along with the crowd, but it's still a decision. These decisions we're talking about here are not easy decisions to make, nor should they be. They're important. They demand a lot of self-examination, a lot of deep thought. Sometimes it takes years to determine what some of these decisions are going to be. And we may change our minds at some point along the line. That's all right. These decisions are not cast in bronze. If we later decide on a different course, that's fine. But we're making decisions. We're doing it, instead of letting other people do it for us. And that's the difference.